Michelle Madden with Grand Prairie Chamber of Commerce, and welcome to our very first ever member to member series presentation. And I'm going to explain briefly what that's about. It is an opportunity for our very experienced members who have lots of knowledge to share, to have a platform here with our chamber specifically to inform our members about their areas of expertise and shine the spotlight on them. And this is going to be available 2 times a month. We will accept sort of applications, requests to be filling those spots. But this is all about, again, sharing your area of expertise and really getting some more benefits out of your chamber. So we're super excited to have Williams and Associates here with us today. The main presenter will be Lauren Lockett, and I think she has some of her associates with her. And at this time, I'll hand it over to Lauren.
Awesome. Hey, love the air claps. Hey guys, it has been a while. I was just talking with everyone in here about how the pandemic happened, and March 12th, she verified the date was last time I was at a ribbon cutting, but I'm so happy to be here. Again, my name's Lauren. I am one of the team members here with formerly Williams and Associates, now Secure Sage, and we get to have a lot of fun. We're family owned, and so if you know what it's like working with family, then I don't have to explain too much because we know our different areas. It's going to be a part of like giving my sister something to do or my mom something to do, but just a little bit about our background. We've been in business for 14 years here in Grand Prairie for the last 3 to 4 years, but we are originally from Oklahoma. And so we're happy to be here in Texas. We're happy to share some of what we do with you guys, and we're ready to get started. I'm going to give it over to Lindsay. She can introduce herself.
Okay. Well, okay, I can't see myself. Okay, I'm Lindsay. Of course, I've been here, I think, almost 5 years, but in Grand Prairie for the last 3. Background in insurance and small business, and I'm enjoying watching Grand Prairie grow. I'm going to hand it over to Kamala.
And good afternoon. I'm probably the newest one to Texas. I moved here about 3 years ago, and like everyone else, definitely experienced the major change. I was just starting. It's so funny when I see Greg, I'm always worried if he's gonna say, you don't show up, but I had just really started to move about. I've always enjoyed every Grand Prairie event that I've been to. I think the funnest one is the Christmas party, but definitely happy to be here to kind of share. Today, I know Lauren is going to be the keynote sharer, but my background also comes from a lot of areas, but primarily I've worked with many years in the healthcare insurance field, and so definitely understand that a small business owner has definitely things that they have to think about all the time, as a large area that I represent and work with are small business owners. So turn it back over to Lauren and Lindsay to share today's, but thank you all for joining us today. Thank you, Michelle, for your leadership, and to the leaders of the chamber. Thank you all for all that you do. I know there are a lot of times that you're doing work that we're not aware of, so thank you.
Awesome, and so we're gonna jump right in. I'm going to share my screen, so give me just a moment, guys. Okay, and you guys let me know when you see the screen change, and I'll know I've done it correctly.
You got it.
Awesome. So we've already went over that one. We're gonna move right along to just saying you're in the right place. You know, this is a great time to be in business, even though we've gone through a pandemic, even though we've gone through different things. It's exciting to know and explore different ways where we can serve people in unique ways that we've never done before, leveraging technology like I've never done before, just doing different things and pivoting in the midst of a pandemic. And so before we spend the next few minutes together, I just want to run through, you know, that you are in the right place, that we just have a belief in the small business community. We've seen it grow. We've seen it really transform Grand Prairie, similar to where we're from in Tulsa, Oklahoma. And so we're excited again to be here. All right, and so right up front, we just want to share a resource center that we have. We didn't mention that. So we are a solutions agency, and our agency is powered by ID Shield and Legal Shield. And we've got a Restart Resource Center. We were profiled last year with Inc. magazine and giving some free resources, and our attorneys were able to update it every single week. They were able to give some things that people really needed at the time. And so we did it again. We went ahead and restarted a resource center with Restart. This is just a post-pandemic legal resource center. So anything from individuals and families, small businesses, articles, this is just a free gift to us or free gift to you. And you can always click that link at the top as Michelle can pass that out to everyone. So the next thing, guys, what does your ideal business look like? And so I am married to a teacher, and I also have a 5 and a 3-year-old. So you can imagine what our life is like and our conversations here at home and taking it step by step. And so I believe in understanding like what the mistakes are that we can make when it comes to our small businesses. It's also important to have a vision of what we want it to look like. And so I just asked for some crowd participation here. And so I want to, again, explain step by step what legal mistakes small businesses make, so you can bypass a few of those frustrations and overwhelm and get to building, you know, the lasting impactful businesses that we want to do. But we always start with the vision in mind. And so I'd love to ask everyone if you can put one word, what does your ideal business look like? Does it look like peace of mind? Does it look like afternoons at the park? Does it look like serving your customers and they writing you great reviews? Does it look like traveling? Does it look like giving more to charities that mean a lot to you? These are some questions you can ask yourself too. What does your prayer life look like? What do your relationships look like? Who do you spend more time with and where do you travel? What are your clients achieving when they work with you? And that helps me identify what my ideal business looks like. And I'm gonna ask Lindsay to give her word, but I'll give my word, and that is service. My husband and I both, when we first moved to Texas, like it was like being a fish out of water. And one of the great ways to connect to your community is by serving. And so having an opportunity to serve like is one of the greatest gifts, I believe. You know, I remember when I was growing up, people depositing into our lives and giving us resources, and now we're able to do that as small business owners. And so to me, that's what my ideal business looks like. What about you, sis?
I would say my word is systematic. I am a free spirit. And so without my systems, I can drift. But when I have that, you know, systematic or that structure, it really helps me to focus on what I'm good on and let everything else, you know, do its thing.
So that's awesome. I appreciate you guys sharing. And Kamala, I can't see the chat. So if you could shout out some words or maybe a word that's important to you.
Mission-driven and benefit-driven.
Awesome. I love those. I love those a lot. And we challenge every presentation. We do this now. It's something I do. Lindsay does something a little different, but we challenge everyone we work with or everyone we get a chance to talk with. Say, hey, like carry this in your pocket as you're walking throughout the day. You never know what'll happen, but carry this with you so you know what you're working towards. So we're going to jump right into those 6 things. Why is it important that we protect and empower our business? Here's some of the mistakes we see. You know, trying to DIY and look up resources for our legal and business questions, signing contracts and documents without an attorney, incorporating or legally protecting our businesses, again, without attorney assistance, or you know, we want protection against being sued by customers or vendors, being concerned about businesses being compliant or government regulation, and of course, having questions about IP, intellectual property. So when it comes to patent or copyright, trademark, or help with that, wanting to know your liability and internet security breaches, and of course, wanting to consult with a labor attorney when it comes to hiring and firing attorneys. Employees. Thank you. That's why she's here, guys. So awesome. Our goal for today is that you can walk away just with an action step, whether that's, you know, reviewing your employee handbook, maybe updating that, or going into looking at your contracts for you hiring and firing, being sure that those are up to date as well. That's something you can do yourself. Take a look at that. So instead of doing it all yourself, our goal is that at the end of the day, you can confidently, instead of looking like Chrissy Teigen, you know, overwhelmed, but confidently serving your clients. So now you have a resource. You have something like this information to go and take with you. All right, and so small businesses are the thread of our communities. We deserve affordable legal access to attorney firms for our businesses to thrive and sustain for years to come. And that's just something I always put in there. Our goal is that you always have a resource. And so I ask yourself, like, how do we want our business to do going forward? I remember being, well, I say young, I think we're still relatively young, and going into business. And I had no idea like the things I'd have to navigate. I thought, just based on my personality alone or the things I could learn, it would be enough. But little did I know, there were some things I have to learn. For example, completing taxes. Like business taxes are completely different for me than personal taxes, or stepping into the realm of meeting new clients and serving them, right, and their needs. And then the differences between different businesses, whether it be service-based or product-based, there's so many different things that we encounter, I think, in the lives of our business. And so this is something that I certainly had to deal with personally, and I had to learn. And so I think it's so awesome, again, having just a resource that you can always dig back into, so that this can be on the background or the foreground, or it's not in the foreground, but it's something that, again, you got a system in behind you so you can do your day-to-day activities. All right, guys. And so today our objectives are to learn the 6 legal mistakes small businesses make, take action, master the insights the attorney firms and small business owners share, and then just give engagement and feedback and share other resources that you guys can use on today. So number 1, failure to do taxes properly. And again, I gave a story of that. I've actually been audited twice. And I will tell you, I've worked with CPAs, I've worked with tax preparers, I've worked with enrolled agents. Those are other IRS people in charge of taxes. And I'll tell you, I thought I had it together, but little did I know there's so many intricacies when it comes to this. So always use the right tax forms and keep organized records every year, so you're not scrambling when tax season comes around. And so here are some of the common tax mistakes that we see. Number 1 is hiring employees incorrectly. This was a big one because I typically work with contractors, but I know a lot of people also do permanent hires. They might do part-time and full-time hires. They may also work with contractors, and every level of identification is different. And so hiring someone without the correct tax forms or signed contracts is an easy way to get ourselves in trouble. And so it's, again, something you just want to run past your employment attorney, because that's a good idea when it comes to hiring and firing, especially.
Lauren,
So
let me know. May I?
go ahead.
I want to intervene for just a second. I see Yinka's name on the screen, but I don't see Yinka on the call right now.
Yinka, where you at?
He was here, and for some reason, maybe he dropped off, but my screen, I don't know about the rest of the viewers, I can only see Yinka's name on the screen and not your screen.
I'm still here.
We can't see him. Oh, he's still here.
Okay.
Just a disembodied voice.
Is it? Does everybody else see Lauren's screen or Yinka's name?
I see Laura's screen that says failure to do taxes properly.
Okay. It must be me. I'm sorry to interrupt. I'm sorry, guys.
That's okay. That's okay. Hey, Yinka. So, I see Lauren's screen. Okay, cool. That's okay. That's okay. And then the next one is failing to track expenses. And so just like we do in our personal lives of budgeting, I know business budgeting can be a lot different, but keeping records of all your expenses so you know what to claim as tax deductions, if you choose to do it that way, opening a separate bank account for business expenses, always keeping your receipts, and maintaining continuous spreadsheet for costs and earnings. So another one when it comes to taxes that our attorney firms have especially seen this year is missing tax payments. And again, we are small business owners. I think sometimes we did not sign up for all these extra things of doing this work, but failing to file and pay taxes can result in serious consequences, as we're aware. And so like late penalties and interest, it's important to stay organized and up to date throughout the year so you can file and pay taxes properly when they're due. So I certainly have to apply that to myself. This April just passed, we got everything done, but we're always laughing at, okay, we have another opportunity over the next 12 months to have a system and procedures in place so that we can have this together as much as we can for our CPA next year. And then mixing up personal and business expenses. So if the IRS discovers you have included personal expenses as your labeled expenses for business, it's important to know that you could face costly penalties. And I think this is a big one too. This last year, we decided to go ahead and add a tax attorney to our team who can just run some other advice and techniques for us to use when it comes to tax strategy, planning for our things, like just knowing that we've got everything in order and we're doing everything above board. And then I mentioned the hiring and firing, but SHRM is a great resource outside of our business and outside of ourselves. The Society for Human Resource Management, we teamed up with them this year. And so if you haven't already, I know a lot of bigger businesses here in the area and across the Metroplex are a part of Society of Human Resource Management, or SHRM. But if you haven't already, that's a great resource when it comes to hiring and firing, when it comes to knowing the best steps to take when it comes to our employees and being sure that everything is laid out above board for them, everything's in place so that we don't have to worry about things coming back on the back end. All right, number 2, failure to form a business entity correctly. This is one of the very first crucial steps of launching our businesses. A business entity, when set up and managed properly, can help us shield, of course, against personal liability. It can protect our personal assets from being a part of lawsuits. And of course, it can provide tax benefits. And so having a business entity separate from our personal identity is pretty important. I know a lot of the businesses here on the line already have that. And so it just conveys a different level of professionalism, and failure, of course, to follow the applicable legal requirements can adversely impact it. So just as signing up or just as enrolling in a business entity can work in your favor, it can also work adversely if you're not properly upholding it. So there are requirements when it comes to LLCs, C Corps, S Corps, that we have to also be sure that we're staying in tune with. And so if you don't legally register your business in the state you're operating in, you could, of course, face monetary penalties or not be able to file a lawsuit if needed. And so again, having that protection, being sure you're taken care of, so that you don't have to worry about things on the back end when it comes to that. Awesome. All right, and so number 3, this is a big one because I would say about 3 of these 6 are ones you certainly want to watch for this year in 2021. Selecting the wrong business entity can be one of those ones. Business entity selection requires that you consider your objectives, your vision that you just wrote down. What are your goals in your business? Because that's how you want to choose a business entity, not necessarily based on, maybe the popular culture or maybe just getting an LLC. That may not be the best business entity for you. And so running that past your wealth team, past, the people who help advise you on that, they can certainly help you do that. And so it's critical for tax and legal factors that we choose the right business entity. A conversation we had this year was we needed to consider some things, especially going into next year. Some things I never thought of when it comes to our business entity is our income level. I didn't think of how, as we transition and we are changing different things in our business, it's important to reevaluate that and understand that it's still working for you. So maybe an entity that worked for you 10 years ago may not be the best for you right now. And so I love that, again, attorney firms can help you walk through that, but so can your CPA. So can, again, some of those wealth builders in your community who can walk you through your business entity. So choosing the right business entity and forming it properly is important so that you have legal protection. It's important, and it's also recommended that you consult, of course, with a business attorney before choosing and forming a business entity. So the 3 main business entities we already know are sole proprietorship. If you start conducting your business and you don't file with the state, of course, that's typically you doing business as a sole proprietor. I did include this just to know a lot of people do business as doing business as a DBA, and that's certainly something you can do as well, so that you don't have to necessarily conduct business in your own personal name. But again, that's just one option. A sole proprietorship does not provide legal liability protection from business debts and actions. So that's important to note as well. And then a corporation. Corporations, of course, are legal entities that are separate from the business owner, and they can protect the owner's personal assets so long as the legal requirements are followed if the corporation is sued. So I think that's pretty important to know as well. And that was one that we discussed with our firms that really, it can be something that's very, very beneficial, even for small businesses. I didn't necessarily think that to be a personal thing, but that's why it's great, again, to run those conversations past someone who can certainly help you do that. And then the last one is an LLC, limited liability company. An LLC protects personal assets from business debts, offers simplicity in management and flexibility in taxation. And so again, that's important to note. It can allow you to run your business in a more professional manner. So I love that those are options there. And so this year, when we were doing our community outreach, we like to walk around actually in Grand Prairie, and we were literally go in a community and we'll say, hey, we'll prop up, we'll go in and introduce ourselves. That was something we found a lot of business owners looking at doing, restructuring their companies so that, again, as they brace themselves for what's coming, now we're in post-pandemic mode, they're better prepared to do what they need to do. All right, so number 4. This, of course, is a big one, and this will always, I believe, always be one, because our society isn't always litigious, but it can certainly be litigious when it comes to these things. And I actually had Lindsay, who was going to share a testimonial just with her client, but not ensuring things are agreed upon in writing. I'll give it over to you.
Okay. I have a client who the pandemic happened. She has a catering business. And, before the pandemic, it was doing really well, but of course she had to shift. And she did a partnership, or agreed on a partnership with someone she would still do all of the meal prep, the menu, all of that. But they owned a food truck. And so they were essentially distribution, and they agreed on a percentage, of the cut from the proceeds. Anyhow, it did not happen that way. And because they had a verbal agreement and not, a contract, she did, we were able to help her get some of the money back, but not all of it, because again, it wasn't in writing. There was nothing to enforce. And so that's something that, if for nothing else, that having things in writing, it just makes life easier, especially most of the time we do business with people we know and like. And so it just helps keep that relationship cordial, put it that way.
I completely agree. Having those things above board and in writing before anything happens is the best medicine. I mean, it's kind of like us going to the doctor, right? We prefer not to go. And so we do preventive care, right? We take care of our bodies. We may eat well, exercise, so that we can avoid or, trying to circumvent that maybe major medical disaster. And so I agree, not ensuring things are agreed upon writing is a big one. And I'll especially pinpoint that for partnerships is typically where I see this to be the case, not even necessarily outside vendors or clients. I typically see it, like she said, with people that we trust. We didn't see a need to have something in writing. And so this is a big one. Unfortunately, agreements made with just simple handshakes and verbal agreements won't cut it in business. And so even if legally binding. And so for almost every business decision made, a written document signed by both parties is needed. It helps to understand the differences between these written agreements. And so one of them is contracts, obviously, whether it's to hire someone, purchase or lease equipment, make other large deals, correct preparation and execution of contracts is crucial. And we know this, we've seen this, we're all small business owners with friends in this community. It's so important that we save copies for our records so that we are protected again. Another one is non-disclosure agreements. And so the purpose of an NDA is just to create a confidential relationship between two parties that aims to protect sensitive business information. And you certainly don't want it to be shared with third party, but it can only be shared for a particular purpose while restricting the use and sharing that information with other people. And so you come up with an idea for your business that you're pitching to investors. Failure to protect that secret can certainly be damaging. And that's why you want to have a great NDA in place that puts them at risk of, it doesn't put you at risk of being stolen. And you don't want to be, again, in a costly situation that can lead to that. And then the last one, oh, can you hear me?
I'm sorry. I was just going to make a comment. I know sometimes when friends are working together, they might feel like their other friend might be offended by having an agreement, but really,
Absolutely.
it offers protection for both of them. I mean, it maintains
Agreed.
friendship potentially.
I completely agree, Michelle. That's so awesome that you said that, because it really is about that protection, you know, and when we think of it more in that manner, I think we'll be more apt to doing it. Because again, it does feel icky. It can feel, you know, uncomfortable asking your friend to sign something written on a piece of paper. But it's also, again, it's protection for you and them both. And so it's the best policy. And I would go as far as to say, when we have written information, as a matter of fact, when we have any protection in place in our business, it protects not only ourselves and our friends, but it also protects our clients, the people we do business with. I mean, imagine us being in a costly legal situation. We may not be able to serve our customers in the best way that we can. And so having that at the fore or at the back of our minds, understanding that we really need to be sure that is in writing. That's an absolutely great point. Let me get back to my screen really quick.
Lauren?
So, yes, ma'am.
Lauren? Okay, I just wanted
Yes.
to share, as Michelle brought up something that I wanted to share. So I actually had a situation where I had a client who was a friend. And then as I learned more about the services she could provide, and she's in the DFW area, I thought, oh, well, then you can, you know, we can not reciprocate. I was going to pay her just like she was paying, you know, my business. But the odd thing was I did something that I should not have done. I went ahead and signed the contract. And then later, as things, the business relationship fell apart because I had assumed some things that weren't necessarily written in the contract. And at that time, I did, which I almost never do, I did send the contract to be reviewed. And so, and that's when they pointed out a lot of the things that I was experiencing. And it was so crazy to me because I still wanted to, as Michelle mentioned, stay in that friend zone. And I really didn't want to cross that line, but it ended up costing me quite a bit of money. We did eventually walk away, understanding that, you know, that wasn't, that particular business partnership wasn't good for us. But what I really should have done is exactly what Michelle said. I should have had the contract reviewed on the front end to get clarity about what the services that I thought I was going to be paying for were actually going to be delivered to me, so that then later when they weren't, you know, delivered to me, then I couldn't have a reason to be upset, because I was very upset. And she was like, well, that wasn't what I said. And of course, the attorney absolutely backed what she said, because he shared that wasn't in the contract. So Ms. Williams, you really didn't have a right to expect that from her, but you should have had it reviewed with your expectations in mind. So just wanted to echo the thoughts that Michelle shared and what Lauren shared.
Absolutely. And I love that you shared that. It's really one of the bigger ones that we see. And that's why we're really going to dig in here, because it's one of those things we really have to think of. We work with attorneys every single day. And even being, you know, in this environment, we run through, just like Kamala shared, of, oh, it's okay that it's not reviewed. This is someone I work with. This is someone I respect, someone I know, like, and trust, and still had found herself in that situation. So I love that you shared that. And so those are some of the things you certainly want to have reviewed. You want to have it in writing. And the next thing we were talking about was non-compete agreements. So non-compete agreements are designed to restrict an employee or former employee from sharing proprietary information or using knowledge of business or clients to form a competing business. And the enforceability of these documents or terms can be an issue to discuss with an attorney. And so there's going to be some language in there that they want to include as to, again, the level of severity or to non-severity of what you want to happen and what your objective would be in that case. And so it's so important that we have these things in writing. I actually shared something here from a client, and he was talking about them having contracts and documents reviewed. So as far as legal needs that they have, they get a lot of non-disclosure agreements and a lot of letters of agreement. And so it look at them and sign them just because it's kind of expensive paying an attorney per hour. And so it's a pain point for us as a small business to spend that kind of money on a document that we didn't necessarily deem important. But once we signed up with, again, services, we learned real quick by getting the comments back from attorneys, like Kamala said, that they had suggestions on how to limit our exposure on things we thought really wouldn't make a difference. And now we run everything by them. We run general insurance contracts, workers' comp insurance, anything that could possibly be legal services or HR issues, we'll call to discuss with our attorney just to cover our bases. And Steve, I got to shout you out. He's not here today, but certainly understand that, because it's something that we all want to be sure that we're protecting ourselves if we're ever in that case. Like, we don't want to be put in a position that we feel like, now I have to backtrack. Now it costs me more. And again, it's like that doctor analogy. It's always better to be preventive than to, be reactive when it comes to these things. And so number 5 is a really big one too. It's something that's been discussed over the last year that I see a lot more shed on, but we're going to dig deeper into this as well. And so not protecting your intellectual property. And I love this because we didn't necessarily think of different things being intellectual property. When we think of IP, we think of patents, trademarks, we think of logos, brands, we think of colors, we may think of things that we physically see, but there's also things like ideas, things that you have generated and you've worked on. Maybe you have a unique method that makes you different from your competitor. It's so important that you can protect that with the help of intellectual property attorneys. And so I've got to share this. I have a social media coach, and her name's Elise Dharma. She does a phenomenal job of teaching others about, how to create relationships, how to do different things when it comes to sales and marketing in your business. And she found herself as a victim of intellectual property. And she shared her story on HubSpot, and she shared it also on another outlet. And I was just appalled that someone could copy her program. I mean, letter by letter, copy the program that she created and just change the colors and begin selling it. And long story short, she was able to share with us like what all was going on in that situation. And so we don't want to find ourselves in that situation. Besides having, find in some of our presentations, we have fine print. And that, again, it protects us when it comes to copyright law, when it comes to resources. Those things are important to have in place. But again, I really want us to focus on when it comes to ideas. That is something, again, I never thought of. I believe every business is different, but there are some things that are completely unique to you that you can certainly discuss with an intellectual property attorney who can maybe give you some more insights into, besides, posting, the copyright law and terms on your contracts and on your website and your terms and conditions. They can give you additional insights as to how to protect yourself. And so unfortunately, IP rights are occasionally overlooked, but ignoring them can put businesses into sticky legal situations. And so we're going to talk about them today. Copyright. So copyright laws are written to protect pieces of work and authorship. So not only do companies need to copyright their own materials, but they need to pay attention to what they are using from someone else's intellectual property, like photos, videos, or copy, which is words. People write up articles, things like that. You want to be sure you're getting credit to whoever authored that piece of content. Another piece of IP is patents. Patents can protect inventions or ideas. And so you always want to be sure you seek advice and assistance from a patent attorney when it comes to these things. This is a super special form of, and I shouldn't say special, but it's certainly a specialty form of law. And they can help to not only protect your rights, but help you to avoid on infringing on the rights of others and thereby sidestep legal battles on the other end. And so, of course, patenting your own invention or your own innovation can be essential to protecting others from stealing it. Another part of IP is trademarks. Trademarks can protect your brand's name, symbol, or logo, and with a trademark at the federal or state level. And so it's important even in naming your company, even in, there's so many different things when it comes to this, understanding that you want to run it through searches. You want to be sure to the 10th level of the law, you be sure that you are protecting yourself and that you aren't infringing on the rights of others as well. And then another one is trade secrets, kind of what we were talking about when it comes to ideas. As a small business owner, be aware of company information you share and with whom. And this will help you to minimize the risk of misappropriation, which can lead to, of course, court. That's a worst case scenario. But you certainly don't want it to lead to disagreements or to foul relationships. And so this is why the use of NDAs can be super important.
Lauren, I had a
All
quick
right.
comment. I have a
Yes, let me
on
go
those
back.
items. I was recently looking into some trademark stuff, and I just want everybody to know that you can't do these things overnight. They take time. So even if
Yes.
you're serious, you need to get started now, because I know patents can take years. Even it looks like even copyrights or trademarks, I forget which one I looked at recently, there's a sequence of events and it takes quite some time and there's some cost involved. So just if you like it and you want to protect it, work on it.
I completely agree, Michelle. My husband, so it's funny because all of our business work is typically service oriented and we provide services, but my husband has a product-based business that he did have to go through and patent. He designed throwback helmets and hats, and that process was lengthy. It was certainly a process that, he didn't see himself, going in and out of. It can be, you've got to have some tenacity when it comes to these things and have some patience, especially. But she's especially right, because it's that specialty law. I would say IP and tax are typically some of those areas of law that cost people a little more because they are specializing even more. As a matter of fact, this is just, something to know. IP attorneys typically also have engineering degrees, because so not only do they have law degrees in intellectual property by itself, but they typically also study engineering to know different things in areas that pertain to design, that pertain to construction, that pertain to having some sort of relevance to what it is you're designing. So I agree, Michelle, that's a great tip. All right, guys, and go ahead.
No, I'm just gonna share another quick story. And it speaks to how sometimes people don't always consider certain things that they do as intellectual property. So I have a friend who's now an international choreographer. And at first when he got started, he didn't know that his artwork is something that needed to be protected. Short end of the story, he got an opportunity to be the front part of a concert. And so, of course, he went out there with his team. They did their thing. The gentleman who came behind him and his team or his group, they saw his work. They complimented him on his work. They said, "Hey, we want to get with you. You absolutely killed it." Or, they absolutely did an amazing job. And so a month later, he looked up and one of his friends contacted him to say, "You need to take a look at national television. That international group had stolen his choreography and used it as their own." And so at that point, he realized, you know what, this is something I need to protect because it's part of what I do and I do it for an income. And so even thinking, even maybe not just us on the call, but thinking about our friends and family that have talents and abilities that they are wanting to share with the world, giving them the wisdom to understand you are a small business owner. This is part of your gift and this is part of what you do for income. You definitely want to surround yourself with the appropriate information so that you can protect what you do and market it well. So just wanted to share that.
And Kamala, you bring up a good point, and I won't interrupt again. I'm sorry, guys, but I think from the perspective of our business members, I see a couple people on this call that I could say if they were able to market that their patented process of XYZ, I think that would really raise awareness and give them a boost in their specific market to be able to say they had a patented process or patent pending on their process. So these are great points that you make. I mean, who would have thought a dance step or routine could be so important, but processes are so.
Absolutely. Processes are, and that's the big part of it. When it comes to these bigger, costly legal mistakes, it's really, something that impedes, again, our customers, our clients, our day-to-day lives. It doesn't just impact our business, it impacts what we do outside of our business. And so it's so important that we protect that. And I love that you shared this story. You'll have to tell me more about this as well when we get off this call. And so understanding that, I love that Michelle said that too. This is something that could raise your profile and raise your marketability. It's something that we even use in our business. We have a proprietary network of attorney firms, and that makes us a little unique when it comes to other people doing services. And so definitely think of ways that you can raise your profile. Think of ways that enacting these small steps, these little legal actions, and how they can protect your business, not only protect your business, but obviously also help your marketability, your sales. There's different things I believe that can help when it comes to your business, and that is just one of them. And so I'm almost done. I see 2:45 at the time as well. And so that very last one is literally just not having a business attorney. You certainly want to, oh, I need to move the slide. Okay, sorry guys. That's why Lindsay's here with me. But not having a business attorney, and that's just having someone who can walk you through this process. I always joke when I get a chance to speak with people that, you know, I didn't go to law school. I'm a business owner, you know, and that in itself is a lot. You know, being available, being sure that, you know, they have what they need, being sure that their needs are met. Finding new ways to help them in their business, you know, whether it's advertising or marketing, or maybe you need a business consult. Maybe you need to be speaking with, you know, someone outside of our business to be sure that you also have this protection and this in place. And so being sure that you have an attorney can help guide you through some things. And so what they do is they help you start and manage your business properly, and they can provide the legal protection you need to be successful. I think a great business attorney can provide consultation and assistance with legal issues as they arise related to your business, and help with contracts and other legal documents. I think it's also important to be sure that you also play around with this. You don't want to spend a significant amount of time trying to deal with complex business legal issues on your own. And that's why it's so important that, again, you have someone like this in your firm. Like, just like, you know, Target, for example, has a permanent legal counsel. I believe every small business owner also deserves that. So something to note here, when you are looking up online, I was sharing this with someone, we had a conversation about looking up and researching things. Be sure that you're paying attention to dates. I certainly don't want you, you know, implementing old legal research into your business, because that could certainly harm you. Be sure that you're also looking up references, because this is important. To look them up with American board. And I want you to also be sure that you also have something in place when it comes to your legal needs, because this is a big one. It's one of those, again, unimportant ones that get shuffled to the bottom, especially when it comes to our business. We're mostly in the business of being in a workplace, being in front of a crowd, being in front of employees, or maybe a small business owner. And I know for some of you, you're face to face with your customers. You may be in their home, or maybe you are also, you know, serving them when they come to your storefront. It's important that you have this protection in place as well. And so I want everyone to jot something down. What is one action item you can implement today, this week, or this month when it comes to your business?
For me, I know that one action I can implement is, as Lauren actually said earlier, we were talking about the tax, the business entity and the tax entity. And I know it's something that we've got to review again, just to be sure that we're in the right place. So that is one thing that I can definitely implement. Well, I guess it's going to have to be today or tomorrow, if it's going to be this month. So
this month is almost over. Absolutely. And so again, I hope we left you with something. We want to leave you with a second gift. When we get an opportunity to do workshops and seminars, we've been given a gift when it comes to our agency, and we're able to gift you just with something all of our members have, and that's member perks. So we're all in the business of, you know, doing what we need to do, serving customers daily. But we also know that saving money gives us a raise. We're able to reinvest the money we save. We're able to donate the money we save, or we're able to get things fixed and repaired that we really want to get done. And so we want to gift this to every attendant today. We have a membership with over 400 vendors. So whether that's Office Depot and you get, you know, office supplies, things like that, or maybe it's Verizon and your cell phone or your business phone could use a discount. Actually, we're using that every month. So yes, using a discount, or whether you're traveling, you could use it for rentals, but it could be anything, even for mental health. We were talking about this actually the other day. with mental health on the rise, we were talking about how Talkspace is also a vendor and they're a partner. And so getting discounts are help that you need as a small business owner so you can go out and carry out the vision that you have for yourself. All right, guys, and we want to leave you with our information, but we also want to take any questions and pass it over to you, Michelle.
Awesome. Thank you so much. While you guys are jotting this down, I will include this in the recording, but I want to thank you so much. You gave us a great overview of these 6 items, and certainly they're all so thought-provoking and really so important. I mean, these are kind of a lot of the things. I think of a couple of these items as sort of the guts of a house. You know, they're not the things that make it pretty, but they're the things that make it work and work well. And so I know for me, just me personally, having a relationship with a lawyer so that if there's anything that ever does come up, I don't have to, 1, search for somebody, and 2, don't have to explain my life history in the midst of a problem. So that's the one that I really took away as me personally needing to kind of get into my world, not even business wise, but just personal, so that I know somebody that can help me if I ever need that. Does anybody have any questions? Feel free to unmute if you like. I know that this will inspire us to have you back again for sure to cover some of the other topics. We're lucky that that Williams & Associates had a number of great presentations for us to choose from today, and this is the one we wanted to kick off with. But I would agree that they are fantastic speakers and definitely worth having on numerous times if they're available.
Good job, guys.
Thank you. And if you can think of anyone to refer to for us to help with, we would greatly appreciate that.
Absolutely.
Yeah, I was just going to add, this is Martin speaking. Thank you guys very much for that. It was very well done, very informative. I got a ton of notes, and you guys did a wonderful job. So thank you guys for kicking this off in such a great way.
Well, we appreciate we have a couple of board members on the call here. Martin, who just spoke, is our incoming chairman of the board for next year. Barry's a board member. And I thought I saw this on here. Yeah, I can't see her now, but yes. So we do appreciate you guys so much. Can you unshare your screen for just a moment, Lauren?
Hey, we're here.
Okay, awesome. Awesome.
There you are. Hi, Lauren.
There.
Hey, how are you?
Good. It's good to see you.
It's good to see you too. I can't wait to actually see you guys. So yes, it's good to see you too.
Well, we are going to be starting back doing a lot of things in person in June. So
perfect.
Lots of opportunities, including lunches. So we'll be getting back to business very, very soon. Any other questions?
Ooh, you're so silly.
I'm sorry.
All right. Well, thank you again. I'm going to check the chat and make sure we didn't have any questions. We just said another thank you in the chat. And if anybody has any questions for any of the team here at Williams & Associates, you can check our website to get their contact. You can find this video once I post it, or you can call the office here and we'll help you get connected. So anyway, I guess that's it for us today. And thank you again, Williams & Associates. And we look forward to seeing you all at our very next Member to Member Series meeting.